Hi, this is Wendy. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a simple, rustic little crocheted six-pointed Christmas star for you. This would be great to hang on the tree or to add to a Christmas gift for a little homemade touch. To make the simple Christmas star, you can really use any yarn and hook combination. A heavier yarn will result in a larger star. I'm using a number 1 superfine yarn. It's Bernat Baby, and it's an acrylic yarn, and a 3.25 millimeter hook. You can start with a magic ring if you know how to do that, but I'm just going to use a simpler version of the magic ring, a simple closing ring. Start by making a letter E with your yarn, like that, and then picking up this loop, grab on to the short end of the yarn like this, pulling it through so that you get a slip ring that gets smaller when you pull the short end. That's the key. You got to make sure it gets smaller when you pull the short end, not the end attached to the ball. Put that on your hook and chain 4. Now we're going to stitch into the first chain and do 11 double crochets into that first chain. So yarn over into that chain, pick up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Do that 11 times so that including your starting chain 3, you have the equivalent of 12 double crochets. And that first chain will stretch out like this. That is okay because we're going to pull it tight later. If it's getting too big, just tug it as you go. Now, I don't know if that's 12 because I was talking, so I need to count. So starting with this V next to the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Yep. Then join to the top of the starting chain 3, which will be this stitch right here, because the top of our first double crochet is this one, just ahead of the post of the stitch. So the top of the chain 3 is beside that. Draw up a loop and pull that through both loops to tighten it up and to join. Now pull on that end that you started with and it should close up your circle like that. Later on, I will work that thread in and anchor it nice and tight. For round 2, we're going to switch to half double crochets. A half double crochet is yarn over into the work. Now I'm going into the same stitch where I joined, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, into the work, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through 3. Then 2 half double crochets in each double crochet going around. So in my 12 double crochets, I will end up with 24 half double crochets. There's my 24 half double crochets. The point where you join is the spot where a lot of people accidentally add an extra stitch. One way to avoid that is to put a stitch marker in your last stitch before you join. So right at the base of the hook here, next to the loop on the hook, I'm going to put in a stitch marker and then join to my starting half double crochet. So this will be stitch number 1, and then counting around, this should be stitch number 24. For this round, chain 1, 2 half double crochets in that same stitch, and 1 in the next one. 2 in the next one, and 1 in the next one. And continue that way around, alternating 2 and then 1, 2 and then 1. So every 2 stitches becomes 3 stitches. So our 24 half double crochets will become 36 in this round. I worked my last half double crochet in the stitch where I had my stitch marker. Now I'm going to move it up to mark the last stitch of this round, and we're going to begin round 4. So join to the first half double crochet, chain 1, and we're going to set up for the points of the star in this round. Do 2 half double crochets in that same starting stitch, 1 half double crochet in the next 4 stitches, and 2 in the next one. So we're working 8 stitches over 6. They're sets of 8. So in stitch 1, do 1 and 2, and a single one in stitches 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 2 in stitch 6. Then repeat 2 in stitch 1, 1 in stitches 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 2 in stitch 6. And repeat that 3 more times around, and then join me for the next round. I worked my last 2 half double crochets in the round where I had the stitch marker. Now I'm moving it up to the last stitch of this round. And I said I would join you on the next round, but technically it's the next row because we're going to start working back and forth for the points of the star. So join into the first half double crochet from the previous row. Now turn without chaining 1 and slip stitch into that stitch where your stitch marker is. Then take out the stitch marker, and we know that we're starting in the right spot for our next row. Half double crochet in that same spot where you slip stitched, and in the next 7. That will give you a total of 8 and will put you just above the double stitch from below, meaning the 2 half double crochets in the one. The next 2 half double crochets are for the next point. So on those 8 half double crochets, I'm going to chain 1 and turn and make 6 half double crochets for the next row so that it comes together to make a point. To do that, I'm going to half double crochet into the 2nd through the 7th stitches. So if you're counting from your hook, there's your turning chain, your first stitch, your second stitch, half double crochet into the 2nd one, the 3rd one, 4th one, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Leave the 8th one unworked. Chain 1 and turn. This time I'm going to work 4 half doubles on top of the 6 by working into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, leaving the last one unworked. Chain 1 and turn. Work into the 2nd and the 3rd to go down from 4 to 2. And on those 2 half double crochets, I'm going to chain 1 and turn and work a single crochet 2 together. So pick up a loop in the first stitch, pick up a loop in the second stitch, draw a loop through all 3, draw another loop through and tighten it up and cut. I'll work in this thread later on after I've done all 6 points. So there's 1 point done. Turn back to the front side. You can see this is the front because of the lines in a circle like this. To do the next point, put the yarn over your finger like this. Find where your starting stitch is. It's a little trickier on this first one. So you could count back. See where I've got a doubled one here and a doubled one here? So this is going to be my last stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one looks, pick up a loop like so, go into the work, pull a loop all the way through to join. You can join it a different way if you want, but that's how I like to do it. And holding this little piece across the back so that you don't have to stitch it in later, work over top of it and do a half double crochet in the 8 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, cut off that little end if you like. Get it out of the way. Again, work 6 over the 8 by working into the second one, across to the 7th one. So skip the first and the last stitches. Leave the last one unworked, turn. Again, skip the first and last to make 4 on top of the 6. Chain 1 and turn, skip the first and last to work 2 on top of the 4, chain 1 and turn, and single crochet 2 together over those last 2 half doubles, draw through 3, and bind off. So next I'll look for where I finished that star point, move to the next stitch to start my next point, and work 4 more points going around. Work in all of your ends, and if you'd like to put a little loop in the top for hanging from a tree, just leave your last end long and chain a little loop. If you'd like to make this a stiff ornament, you could use some watered down white glue and pin it out and let it dry until it's stiff. Another option is to make 2 of these and stitch them back to back with a little bit of fiber fill to make more of a 3D ornament. That would be great for a baby's first Christmas, because it would be an ornament they could actually hold on to. I hope that you enjoyed this little 6-pointed Christmas star project and that you will make a few for yourself. Drop me a comment if you enjoyed this project, and please consider subscribing or even becoming a member. Have a very Merry Christmas and a super day.